The Tangent 8 podcast is aimed at a mature audience. It contains themes that are not appropriate for all listeners. It's important to note that we are not experts. We routinely have no idea what we're talking about and are just three idiots sitting around a table. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Tangent 8 podcast, and this week, only Swoosh is with me.
Yes. We have hidden John Doe. You'll get him back next week, maybe. If you've been good.
Honestly, it's mostly just the Easter weekend kind of messing everybody over.
Yeah, a little bit. That does tend to happen.
I'm not looking forward to it because I work warehousing, and these 4-day weeks aren't fun. And there's 4 of them in April.
Yeah, and shit tends to pile up around those. It's like, yeah, that's not great.
Yeah. Because this week's a 4-day week, next week's a 4-day week, then there's a 1 week where it's all normal again, and then it's a 4-day week into a 4-day week.
Yeah, so like I deal with a lot of automated systems in my work, so I'm going back to a backlog regardless of what happens. Like, yep, cool, I'm just gonna have fun this weekend and try and be normal.
Yeah. So, getting off of the depressing prospects of our actual real-world lives,
yay!
Let's go yell at Blizzard.
That's still mildly depressing, but more fun.
I mean, yeah. So, this is more of a potential issue. More than anything else, I guess. Like,
yeah.
They're not specifically screwing up this time. So, they're putting out their new support hero, Lifeweaver.
Yeah.
And he's got an ability in which he puts a shield around you and then pulls you out. The idea being like, oh, you're about to die, I'll shield you and pull you out of danger.
Yeah.
Or he could pull you into danger, or off of the map.
Yeah, that's the inverse of the old Orisa pull, which I used to use a lot to pull enemies off the map. Like, it was great to disrupt a team. But if this only works on your allies, guaranteed no one's going to use that to support their team.
Well, they probably will, right up until you get that butthurt Salt player,
yeah,
who's like, you all suck and you just can't play the game right, and I would be top tier if you guys didn't suck. That guy will pull you off the map.
Oh yeah, no, I'd pull that guy off the map myself. I hate those people. The only way I would ever use that would be if I had a friend who was a tank, like, just stay behind the shield and just pull the idiots back behind it. And I think that's what they wanted people to do. But they've left it open for trolling so well.
I don't think that's the design. I really do think the design is like someone, like, you know, the shield's been broken and you're getting overrun.
Yeah.
Pull them out with the shield so they can reset and go again.
Mm.
But, like, it leaves the door open entirely too much for the trolling. And let's face it, there's already enough of that with the kits that, you know, just Lucio just nudging people.
Yeah. Like, the boop is great. Like, I used to play a lot of Lucio because he was a really interesting character before they nerfed him. I
played a lot of Lucio too.
Until they eventually nerfed him to death. I mean, you used to be able to wall ride in the canyon to heal all your friends. But, no. I understand why they nerfed him. It was a bit annoying. And it was to try and change the meta up and that kind of stuff. But I know they're trying to push for more support people by...
Well, the last 2 heroes, I think, were support heroes.
Yeah. But they're not making the current ones better. Like, that, to me, they should be overhauling current support characters. They don't need to bring out a new one. I get they want to get that people coming in going, oh, yes, a new character, I'll play that. But half the time it's like, support, I'll play the next one. Like, most of the time they don't care.
Yeah. Unless you happen to get something like Moira, where everyone decided they liked her, but they also stopped playing her as a support.
Yeah, pretty much. She became a DPS pretty quick.
Yeah, so, you know, so support.
Alright, the same thing happened with Drunk Rat, where it's like, he's a support character. No, fuck you, he's a frontliner now. Like,
that's a DD. That was never a support character. What's wrong with you?
Oh, I remember at one point people were trying to press him. It was like, it's a support. Like, I played him support. I just lob shit over buildings and
that's the closest you get to support, is you are a roving artillery piece.
Which was great, but no one ever seemed to want to use him that way, I swear.
I swear that's why all the maps had those, like, high windows.
Yeah.
They weren't decorative, they were Junkrat targets.
Exactly. Like, was it Eichenwald, the old, like, German castle town?
Yeah.
That one. I love that map as Junkrat, because I could just launch things over buildings directly at a point and just consistently rain hell. So it's like, I have cleared the way. My explosions don't hurt my friends, and they have to come a really far way out to get me, so I'm disrupting.
The one I remember is from... it was one of the first maps, the temple one from the cutscene with Hanzo. Because when you push through to the actual temple...
Yeah.
Just stand outside and just shoot grenades in.
It's great.
It was just like constantly people in there fighting, and you just rack up kills. Like, and then you'd get your ultimate, send your fucking wheel in there, and be like, play the game.
Pretty much. Like, eventually, if I get enough people playing it again, I might go back to Overwatch, but I can't do it on my own. I can't do it with less than 3 people. Because...
it's not going to be me, man. I ain't going back.
I might dip my toes back in one day. But it's one of those things that, unless you have a full team, it's not really fun. Because there's always that one dickhead in the chat who's like, "Oh, you're all shit." I'm like, yeah, but you're just playing Genji and running straight at them without doing anything. You're literally dying for fun. You're not helping us.
No. You're so shit. You're not supporting his strategy, and thusly it's not working.
Yes.
This is your fault.
That makes sense. We have to support the Leroy Jenkins stealth main.
See, if you'd shot the Bastion wouldn't have shot him.
That is true. It's
Clearly, this is your fault.
Clearly, absolutely. I hate any time someone decides in a massively multiplayer game to be like, I'm gonna play a stealth person, but I'm not gonna do stealth. Like, okay, why are you on this character?
Yeah.
Please stop. It's like, okay, I'll switch to Widow. It's like, ah! Anyway. Blizzard's doing dumb things and leaving themselves open for players to screw over this character more than they are. And they're going to have to nerf it within a week and give it out of bounds zones that you can't pull them to or something. There'll be something implemented. Invisible walls for everyone.
Yeah. So, speaking of dumb things, E3's basically dead.
Honestly, I keep forgetting it's still a thing. Like, every time it's like, oh, E3 happened. Like, fuck, that's still going? But now...
Well, it hasn't happened since 2019.
Yeah. I mean, like, even before COVID, it kind of was slowing down.
Yeah, but it was still, like, still had a death grip on the industry.
Yeah.
And then, in the immortal words of the Game Grumps, the Backstreet Boys reunion tour happened, and Jeff Keighley had his open door.
Yeah. It's just... When it first began, E3 made a lot of sense. It was back when the internet was still very young. Not a lot of people had a handle on it. Big game companies had no idea what to do with it. Half of them didn't think it was going to be a big thing to start with. And it's like, we're going to have a big convention, and we'll show everything off there. And it made sense.
You were dealing in a time when, like most of us, I know I used to buy them a lot when I was a kid, you got your gaming news from a gaming magazine.
Yeah.
Which means you had to send... like
a subscription?
The people who write articles, fucking...
Journalists?
Journalists!
Those guys,
Why can I not remember the word journalist?
To be honest, words are weird and English is weirder.
Yes it is. I mean, come on, Dan Bull managed to rhyme the words Dovahkiin, aubergine, and dopamine.
That is true. But yeah, no, you actually had to get all your news sources from journalists.
So you had to get your journalist somewhere where they could see all that new stuff. So, of course, having a central place like E3 made sense. You'd have all these journalists in one place. You were basically getting yourself free press.
Yeah.
But as the digital age has come along, more and more content creators, like particularly with the live streaming of the events, I know Total Biscuit was used to say it a lot, there was no point going to the event. If you watch the stream, you are capable of writing articles and posting your opinions and informing your viewers faster than someone who actually went.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, like, the second the bigger companies realized that they didn't have to go to a specific thing, pay a bunch of money for a set and build a massive show around something. They just do their own thing and save a lot of money. then that was going to be the death of E3 to start with. Like,
well, I mean, that's where I think the hemorrhage was starting to happen before the Rona.
yeah.
Because Nintendo had pulled out, E3 had bullied Devolver Digital out,
Yeah.
and EA had pulled out.
Yeah.
But Nintendo didn't give a shit. E3 didn't give a shit about Devolver, and E3 and EA had long lost its luster.
Oh, yeah.
So people really didn't give a crap. But they were the sign of the times. Like, people were moving away from E3 as the specific event to digitals and side events around E3.
Yeah.
So it was already starting to happen, and then the Rona was just gasoline on a fire.
Oh, definitely. Like, to me, it always felt like E3 was one of those really big companies back before, like, international shipping. Like, you know, local mattress kingdom kind of thing. It's like, yes, no, this guy has all the money, because everyone needs mattresses. And then along came the internet, where you can order a mattress from absolutely anywhere. And bigger chain stores started getting in the game. It's like, and they haven't changed to suit the new environment. It's like, no. We keep doing this because this is what Pappy did, and he made all the money, and why aren't we making money now? And they held on to that old glory, but it just wasn't going to keep them going through a difficult time at all. And was not sustainable in the long run.
And when E3 went down, their tweet kind of tried to make it seem like it was everybody else's fault.
Yeah.
Because in it, they pointed out that, we were going to have so many indies there, and they were going to be in front of all these people, and they were going to get so much coverage, but, well.
Yeah.
Like it's somehow everybody else's fault.
That is a dick move, where you're trying to blame the audience for not turning up. It's like, we had no reason to turn up. You weren't doing anything. Like, why would we turn up and spend our money? Because it cost a lot to get to E3.
I mean, look for us, because we live in Australia, we'd have to fly to, I think it's LA where they have it, which is already an expensive trip. The Australian dollar is down against the USD, so we'd be going bad conversion cash-wise to the States to go to an event where we'd have to pay for hotels, food. We'd have to take a cab fucking everywhere because we don't know that fucking town.
Yeah.
It would be an expense nightmare for us to go.
Yeah. But even for locals or anyone else within the US getting there, that's still a lot because the hotels there fill up. And they tend to raise their prices around any type of convention. Because they know people are going to pay that money. So it's like, there's no incentive for us to turn up. It's like, sure, you have a bunch of indie stuff. Awesome. I like maybe 1 out of 20 indie games. Most of them I have no interest in. Like, if you're just shotgunning a bunch of indie games at me, then I'm not going to turn up. I'm just going to watch it online.
But then, look at what's happening now. When Summer Games Fest happens, mostly because, thank fuck, someone remembered what a demo is.
Yeah.
On Steam, we'll get inundated with like 100 demos.
Yeah.
I don't have to leave my house to try the newest and greatest things.
I'm so glad demos are making a comeback.
Same here.
I'm too jaded on trailers now. Because they're never true to function.
No.
Like, it's always a cinematic, and it'll have like a tiny little thing and not actual gameplay. It's like, fuck you, show me gameplay. I want to see how this game actually runs.
Or it'll be gameplay that is so obviously fake.
Yeah.
I still always remember the first trailer for The Division.
Oh, yeah.
Where they had all the people working in a perfect unison and no one called anyone a cunt.
Yeah. Same with Anthem, to be honest. Like, because they had like, this is real gamers playing. Like, that's not how real gamers talk at all. Not a single person has cussed out someone for shits and giggles.
Yeah, but like that one, they weren't partied up for that long.
Yeah.
And they didn't need coordination.
True.
The Division one always jumps out at me because they're like, oh yes, they're coming up from the left. Oh no, I'm moving into position. I'm covering you. Move up.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
That's
not how anyone talks.
No, unless you're doing full competitive and you're in the same room, no one talks that way.
Or you'd have to be playing something more like Armor.
Yeah. Pretty much. Like, most gamers are trolls at our very center. Even cooperative games, we will mess with each other.
Have you ever tried to play Portal 2 co-op with anybody?
Oh, yeah. Like, the temptation just to like launch a friend off an edge is too hard to resist. I guarantee there's not a single person who hasn't just gone and launched someone out. Like, it's in our DNA, I swear, just to be a dick for that short amount of time. We will take a loss just to spite someone for fun. Because that's where we get the enjoyment from.
Yeah.
Like, and that's also why I don't play competitive, because people tend not to have a sense of humor when competitive comes into a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just, I don't see what that's going to do.
So, like, you know, trailers are a waste, so demos are the absolute thing. And, of course, Summer Games Fest, you've got the Guerrilla Initiative, and there's another one that do shows specifically for indies. All the big guys are getting their own shows, and they're going to be on different days. Devolver Digital do something crazy, and I love them like every year.
Yeah.
If you have not watched the narrative for Devolver Digital, freaking watch that shit. It was the best. I still love the non-fuck-withable tape. That's the best one. They took it wasn't last year, it was the year before's entire E3 video was put onto a videotape, and there's a little tab you can pull out of the back, which makes it so you can't record over it.
Nice.
And then they sold it for, I think it was like $1,000, and somebody bought it. So someone owns an NFT of that show.
Oh, God. An actual NFT. But, Jesus Christ. But apart from that, like, trailers, I'm happy that if they disappear, or at least be very upfront, like, this is the cinematic portion.
Look, like, I don't mind if we go back to, like, trailers are a sizzle reel.
Yeah.
So you know what you kind of are interested in to start with. Give me some idea what I'm going to play. It doesn't have to be super real or detailed, but just know, I want to know what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
Is it a horror game? Is it a action game? Is it a survival buildy game? Like, I just want to know what the game is.
Yeah,
that's so all often, that trailer has to do.
Yeah, like, so often a trailer will not even give you that information. It's like, alright, cool. It's like they're teasing something. It's like, what is this?
Yeah.
I get you want an air of mystery, but there is a point where you have to actually buckle down and say, hey, this is a shooter. It's a third-person shooter. Like, awesome. I'm interested. Or be like, oh, hey, it's a sandbox, you know, battle royale. Like, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
But,
and then after that, I want a demo. Just a little bit. It just, like, I don't mind if you do the old vertical slice shit.
Yeah.
Just let me get some hands on it, see how it feels, see what it kind of plays like, see if I like the idea and the setting, the characters maybe a little bit. That's fine. I'm personally a big fan of those games which do, like, first, like, 20-odd minutes of the game.
Yeah, like the first
so it's like,
kind of thing.
Yeah. Essentially, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm basically like, can we go back to shareware?
Yeah.
Where the first little bit's free. Or very discounted.
It works, though, because, like, when you're playing through that first part of a game, and you reach that point, it's like, this is the end of the demo. It's like, ooh, I want this. And I will tend to go and buy the thing. If I'm enjoying myself enough to finish that first chapter, and see the demo, like, thing pop up, I was like, oh, okay, no, I'm getting this.
But it's only if the demo content carries over.
Yes.
I'm a big proponent of that. Like, give me the first bit, and if I like it, get to the end of it and be like, look, man, it's $70, pony it up, and you can keep on going. It's fine.
Just give me the unlock so I can keep going. It's fine.
Yeah. And I'm pretty chill with that idea.
Yeah.
But that requires developers to do it, and a lot of indies have been doing it because it's the easiest way to get your game noticed, because so many things are like, I don't know what, you know, if you told me, like, what is it, Golf Story, what's this? It's a JRPG golf game. What?
Yeah.
I probably would never play that, but if you actually play the demo, it's like, oh, this game's actually pretty fun.
Yeah. Like, it lets you explore things that you don't normally do anything with.
Yeah.
And you find some interesting stuff. Like, that, to me, was a good way of doing things. Demos and that kind of stuff. And not relying on a marketing team to give you the information about a game. Because, let's be honest, marketing has one job. It's to sell the shit out of a product. So they will flat out lie if it gets them their job done. Like, they don't have a qualm about it. They will do that thing. And I don't blame them. When your job is reliant on result and you have to sell stuff, it's what you do. But I'm not going to trust your opinion on a game that you are trying to sell.
And I mean, we've discussed it many times on this show. Reviewers aren't quite quickly becoming an irrelevancy.
Yeah.
The level to which it's just like it's not that they're not in touch. And I've said it before, I think a lot of it's not necessarily burnout, but because they got to play everything, their opinion is heavily skewed. I tend to find a lot of reviewers give like glowing reviews to something that's different because they're happy for something different. So they're like, extol its virtues, and then you play it and it's like, this is kind of clunky and not that interesting.
Yeah.
Why did you review this so well? I'd rather go play, Call of Duty Modern Spacefair.
Honestly,
because I like that sort of thing, and they don't because they played every Call of Duty and they don't care anymore.
I think what happened is when reviews became, or like review positions at any kind of newspaper or whatever else, they became careers. So it's like, oh, what are you? I'm a food critic. I review food. And it's like, all right, when do you stop doing that? Because after a certain point, you become biased. You are very cynical to certain things because you've had it a million times. It should never be a permanent position. It should be an entry position into a group. So it's like, oh, cool. We need someone to take on this new thing. Grab the guy who's been writing reviews the last 6 months. We put him onto an actual thing, see how he goes. And then we get a new reviewer in. Because they're going to go through and give an unbiased opinion of a game.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, then you've got this massive turnover that you can't support in so many outlets because, let's face it, again, reviewings get like, look, man, we're two idiots sitting in at tables and we can review. I can give you my review of Resident Evil 4.
Yeah,
the remake. Side note, it's very good. You should totally buy it. You don't need to have a publication to get your opinion out there, which means you only need one or two people to play some stuff to get reviews going. And then you don't have a huge budget, so you can't afford to hire 3 or 4 more people to get the cycle going. I actually did do reviews for a website for a little while.
Yeah.
And part of the problem I ran into was they just hand me whatever they had next because we only had like 3 reviewers on staff.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this really sucks because I'm being handed stuff that I don't want to play, or it's not interesting, or I don't have 1,000 words in me about this. It's not interesting.
Yeah.
But I have to do it.
Pretty much.
The only review that really got a lot of traction that I did, and I'll freely admit this, was when I reviewed Alien Isolation. Shock horror. A thing I am massively interested in. I am a giant Aliens fan, so the best review I ever did was on an Aliens product. But I'm excited about that. I wasn't like Rocket Jump Boy. It's just like, I don't care. There's not a nudge here. The gameplay is really simple. It's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's what it's like, and you can't afford to have a new reviewer every 2 months.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Unless you're using it as like a work experience thing for a bunch of like students, it's not tenable. Even then.
But even then, you'd be abusing the students to get that done.
That has never stopped them before.
I know. I mean, I've been part of the marketing push for Fury, so...
Oh, God, I remember that. That was a fun one. I think I still have that around as a coaster.
I never got a copy. All I know, I went to Oren. I was part of their big marketing push for that game. I talked to press. It lied through my fucking teeth.
Oh, yeah, no, that was the fun part.
I was mostly there just because I was like, oh, hey, I want to be part of this cool thing. Because it was an Australian studio. And they essentially did Battle Royale, but
before everything else. Like, they were the precursor and they just flopped.
Well, the problem was that they didn't quite do it right. They were very similar to, what is it, Nakana? Is that Asian-themed close combat one?
I know the one you're talking about. I just can't remember what it was.
Narika? Something like that. You know the game I'm talking about. They were very similar to that. But the problem is they took their inspiration from MMO PvP.
Yeah.
And that meant you had to level up and acquire gear and that sort of stuff, and it was persistent. So if you grind it up, you just shat all over everybody else who hadn't.
Pretty much. And
it was really boring, whereas, like Battle Royales, you drop in naked with maybe a perk.
Yeah.
And that can help build your character in the arena, but it doesn't create them. You kind of have to build them on the fly as you go.
Yeah, you can try and aim for a specific build, but the chances of finding that build are not great.
Yeah, so they were still too close to the MMO end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But it was essentially a battle royale. You just went into the arena, killed people, acquired blood tokens, and used the blood tokens to get more stuff.
Yeah, it didn't help that the not the marketing team, but the guys who were making the game kept referring to it as the WoW killer. It's like, nothing can kill WoW.
I never heard them call it a WoW killer because it wasn't an MMO.
That's the thing, I heard them call it that numerous times. Like, this doesn't make sense to me. But
WildStar was closer to being a WoW killer than Fury ever was.
Oh yeah, it was such a strange thing. But unfortunately it didn't do well, and then they folded, I think, eventually. I don't know if they're still going, are they?
I you know what, I can find out. Well, maybe I'll be able to find out. That might be a little hard to Google, because Oren was never that big.
Yeah. They probably got bought up by someone. They probably got absorbed by Halfbrick or one of the other ones here in Brisbane.
Oh, did you see there was a little documentary that got done? No, I don't want Origin. I want Oren.
No, you need new power and new guess.
I don't even remember how to spell freaking Oren's name.
I think it was A-U-R-O-N. Auron?
A-U-R-O-N?
I think so. It's been a long time. It's been like what? Like,
I know, right?
It's close to like 12 odd years.
Ah, here we go. This will probably give it to me. Top 15 video game makers in Australia.
I don't even think they were in the top 15. We only had 16.
Halfbrick, hang on. That company. I don't think this is even correct. Yeah, nah, some of these are definitely not. Point is, it's annoying because I want to know.
Yeah, they were a startup or like very early. I think it was made of ex-students or something they came across. That's why they dealt with us a lot, because they were coming from back to their alma mater. I was like, we're going to do things here. Like, okay, we don't care. The game wasn't horrible. I enjoyed what I played of it, but it also wasn't much to write home about. So,
all right, here we go. I went and found the one for Fury, not Oren.
Ah, fair, yeah.
I think they've become Nerve.
They became Nerve, did they? Ah, fair. Munched by a bigger company.
Yeah. Nerve Games, formerly Oren Development.
Ah, okay. Well, they're not doing horrible then. That's good.
Yeah.
Like a rebranding, essentially. It's like, aha! No, get that away.
I mean, they're mostly, like, I hate saying it, they're basically kept alive by the Train series they run.
Yeah.
That's their bread and butter. They make that thing with, like, $1 billion worth of DLC.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, the thing that kept, like, Halfbrick going for so long was, like, Fruit Ninja.
Still does.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. The thing I was about to point out, there was a documentary about a game that Halfbrick was trying to make that almost ripped apart their office in 3 days.
Wait, which one was that?
It was a game called Tank Tactics.
Oh, yes. No, I remember someone talking about that. Fun fact, we know a few people who used to work at Halfbrick.
Still do, some of them.
Yeah.
I think.
A couple still do.
Pretty sure they do. Yeah, so that was a thing. There's a really good documentary about it. I'll put it in the show notes.
That'd be good.
About this game that, like, just started. They're apparently, like, the part of the game is you alright, so, like, brief primer. The game is essentially you play a tank.
Yeah.
You get action points every day, and you can spend them to move and shoot and yada yada yada. You can give your points to other people so they can do multiple actions, and it's kind of this whole, like, tactics game, of course.
Fun.
Apparently 2 of the players, one killed another person, betrayed them.
Oh.
And one person saw it as just gameplay and didn't care, and the other person took it as, like, an actual, like, out-of-game betrayal of their friendship.
Fair.
And they just didn't talk to each other anymore.
Wow. That That's a bit.
Yeah,
of a reaction.
it's really interesting because, like, apparently, like, there was only 20 people out of the whole company who were even playing this fucking game.
Nice.
And on the first day, 3 of them were killed. They didn't even get to have a turn.
Wow.
But yeah, it was really interesting doco. I'll link it in the show notes.
I'm gonna have to watch that. I think that sounds interesting.
I just kind of like pimping something to do with an Australian game studio.
We don't have a lot of Australian game news. We've got to pimp what we can.
I mean, it's not even a new article. It's an old thing that happened a few years ago. But hey, half break.
But off the back of talking about how much we hate reviews, let's review some movies, because
oh yeah,
we've been watching some interesting stuff of late. Like, a good one to start with. I actually recently watched the new horror, suspense thing from M. Night Shyamalan, which is Knock at the Cabin.
I have not seen it.
I kind of enjoyed it. I wouldn't say a return to form for him, because let's be honest, he's been going downhill for a while.
Yeah.
I enjoyed The Sixth Sense, and I enjoyed Signs, and that's basically it.
I didn't enjoy Signs.
I liked it for some of the things, like just open the door to all the people in the closet wearing tinfoil hats, and it's fun.
I'll freely give you the first half of that movie, not that bad.
Yeah.
It does some solid suspense, but the suspense goes fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
And I will never be okay with the weakness the aliens have is water.
Yeah. That was the first time when the twist was like, ooh, what a twist, and started that meme, I swear.
Yeah. Because that was so... Our planet is covered in water, cunt.
Yeah.
Why
rains.
would you... It's like us going to Venus.
Yeah.
I'm just going to walk around on a planet that rains acid, because that'll be fine.
Yeah, it's completely okay. And the fact is like, oh no, are they wearing a protective gear to hide from the water? No, they're naked.
Yeah. No spacesuit, no nothing.
I don't get it. But Knock at the Cabin was fun. The whole thing is interesting. A family has to choose to sacrifice one of them to stop the end of the world. Very simple premise. And I like it. The weird thing is, Batista is in this one, and he does a very interesting character. His character's a school teacher. Big muscle guy, that kind of thing. The age-old stereotype of being buff in a situation you don't need to be. But he comes off just so well. He did really good. But then there's Rupert Grint is in this movie, like the kid who played Ron Weasley in the movies for Harry Potter. And I thought he was done with acting, but he's come back for this. And he does pretty good. Solid movie. It does have the Shyamalan issues of there has to be a twist. You can see it coming though. You know what's going to happen halfway through. It's a good movie to turn your brain off and have some interesting thoughts going, and just see what happens.
I mean, actually, speaking of movies that you kind of turn your brain off to, I know it came out ages ago, but I find I keep bringing it up to people and no one even knows it was a thing, was Werewolf by Night.
I enjoyed that one. It took me a bit of time to get around to watching it, but I quite liked it.
See, I grew up watching a lot of the old, Bram Stoker style monster movies. And they... Specifically, this is technically an in-MCU only online movie. And they go over their... It's hard as they can to emulate that old Bram Stoker, Dracula cinematic vibe, where everything's black and white. The sets look like they're just sort of like there's a bit where a character's hiding in some plants.
Yeah.
But you can clearly tell it's just a raised platform with little planters in it.
Yeah.
They haven't tried to make it look like it's growing naturally. It just works.
It somehow fits together perfectly. I like it.
It absolutely does. And they get away with having a werewolf that isn't that werewolfy because he's supposed to feel more like the Wolfman from the old movies. So, it's really, really good, and it's a fun time. But it's definitely one of those, eat your dinner and watch it. Don't be like, oh, yes, we're sitting down for movie night, and we're going to have this wonderfully intellectual discussion afterwards of the themes of the movie. No, the movie is werewolves. Let's go.
I like those kinds of movies. You can just sit there and have them in the background while you're eating dinner or doing something else. I recently watched a movie that I thought would be that. And then it turned out not to be that at all. It sucked me in proper. And it's a little like animated movie that came out in 2017 called The Big Bad Fox and Other Tales. It's just like 3 stories, like short story kind of things, but they're really well done. It's a 2D animation, very adorable style, but the comedy drew me in from that first little story they had. And the basis of that one is there's 3 characters trying to deliver a baby. A pig, a rabbit, and a duck. The rabbit and the duck are absolute idiots. Like, top-notch idiot. Like, you know, like the proper old-school slapstick kind of stuff. Like, they're handed this baby because the stork doesn't want to deal with it. It's like, here, you have to deliver it, or it's going to be an orphan. Your problem, and then just wanders off. And they're like, oh, okay, we should probably do something. And the pig's like, I don't want anything to do with this. You can, you know, do it yourself. I'm going to do my own thing. Go back to gardening. And these 2 other characters screw up everything they touch. It's like, well, we should probably check on them. Goes in. They're basically going to launch the baby in a catapult, hoping that it gets in the right direction. Even better is some of the like a lot of these characters are voiced by like Bill Bailey and other really
nice.
well known like British comedians. It's like it works so well.
Hell yeah.
And I got drawn in. Like I eventually like the first story finished like that was great. Oh right, I was eating food. Oh, it's cold now. But I got too distracted. It was great.
I will admit, like, a movie that drew me in, but I personally don't think actually had the payoff it needed, was The Menu.
Yeah, no, it drew me in definitely, and I enjoyed a lot of certain things about it. Like, there was some fun bits.
So, like, the movie is, like a... I don't know if it was at that, but, like, you know, it's one of those, like, Sundance movies.
Yeah.
But someone threw, like, budget at it.
Oh, yeah, they threw some.
And it does show... And there's some great ideas in it. Like, it actually genuinely has some really clever bits. But the whole premise is, like, some guy invites a bunch of people. Like, you follow one main character.
Yeah.
She's coming along with another one to this restaurant where it's like $1,200 a meal and blah, blah, blah.
Essentially, it's meant to be the greatest dining experience in the world kind of thing. Like, the very hoity-toity kind of thing.
You're essentially going to... I mean, I think they're trying to rip off Heston a little more, but, you know, it's sort of like your Gordon Ramsay type thing.
Yeah.
Like, super well-known chef, everyone knows who he is, he's amazing, people follow their career, blah, 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 blah. And it starts out, like, pretty normal, although very, like, stick up your butt. Like, he has this whole thing about how, like, bread is for poor people, and you're not poor people, so you don't get bread.
Yeah.
And then gives them a whole bunch, like, a deconstructed meal that's, like, foam.
Yeah.
And it's dumb. It's stupid.
I like the characters reacting to all of it, because there's obviously, like, there's 2 food critics, which are there just for, like, laughing at food critics. And they're great fun. 3, I'm assuming, like, business jocks, essentially.
Oh, the Dude Bro group, yeah.
The Dude Bro business guys, who are friends with the guy who owns the restaurant, or pays for the restaurant kind of thing. And they keep trying to throw their weight around and just get shat on. I loved every time that happened. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when that boss is revealed in certain places.
Yeah. So, like, the whole thing is that as the movie goes on, all the meals start getting darker and darker and darker, and, you know, things get really fucked up.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, the movie never felt like it hit the payoff point properly. Like, it has what is clearly the payoff, but I don't know, it just didn't land for me.
It felt
it's not
like
to say it's
lacking
bad.
something.
Yeah, there's just some kind of punch that was... Instead of, like, coming over the line and being like, yes, there it is, there's the payoff for all this build-up, it just kind of feels like it goes, we're done.
Weirdly enough...
I don't have to impress you.
Like, weirdly enough, it felt like eating a meal that was just short of being satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, not
like, all I
quite
needed
there.
was, like, a little bowl of vanilla ice cream and it would have been perfect.
Yeah, just that little bit extra to tie it all together, it would have been great. But then you get, like, the opposite end of that, and you have Glass Onion, which was just nothing but payoff. That entire movie.
I just want a whole string of movies that's only connecting tissue is that one guy.
I would love it so much. Just that thing at the end is like so dumb. It's brilliant. No, it's just dumb. Like, that's one of my favorite gifts to send around now, I swear.
Although, the one thing I dislike is that the previous one, Knives Out, although it does manipulate you as well, it doesn't feel as egregious about it.
Yeah.
There's one scene with Batista where he witnesses something happen, and then you find out later and it looks like he understands it in one particular way, which is supposed to be a red herring. And then you find out later that it had nothing to do with that, and there was actually more context in the scene they just didn't give you.
Yeah.
And it's annoying because if you'd had that context, you'd have known what was going on sooner, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's the only reason they didn't show it to you. Not that there is not more context and you will learn it later. They just flat out refused to give it to you just for that purpose. And
For the review.
that felt less satisfying.
Yeah.
Not enough to kill the movie. Like, the actual bit, like, the first half of the movie is all set up and the back half of the movie is all payoff.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely quality payoff. I love the movie. But it didn't quite land the way I wanted it to.
That's
in
fair.
places. But definitely not enough to even kind of make me not want to
Force everyone we know to watch it, yeah.
Yeah.
Although, like, there was what was the other one? Megan was another movie we both watched at one point.
Yeah, Megan was really good. I liked Megan.
I enjoyed it. It was not what I expected in a good way. So
I was expecting a horror movie because that's
Yeah.
the way they pitched it.
Same.
Like it felt like it was supposed to be kind of someone taking on like the Chucky idea. You know, the robot toy goes bananas and kills people.
yeah.
That's what all the advertising said it was, and then it turned out to be this really good suspense thriller.
It ended up being more like what was the old Will Smith movie? AI. No,
Yeah.
iRobot. That
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Like, it had that kind of vibe to it, whereas like a slowly gaining sentience of an AI grappling with the very rudimentary instructions it has and how to deal with them.
Yeah.
Like, its entire job essentially as a product is to be the best friend ever to a child, right? So it takes that job 100% seriously.
Yeah, it does.
Like, to the point where the child's essentially addicted to this friend. It's like, that is interesting. I like this dynamic. It's strange and fun.
I loved it. It was such a surprise
Yeah.
to watch that movie.
Not what I expected at all, but I definitely recommend giving it a good watch. It's pretty fun.
I recently watched the new Guy Ritchie movie.
Which one was that?
That was really Operation Fortune.
Oh, yes. I haven't seen that yet, but it is on my list.
It is pretty fun. It kind of pokes a lot of fun at the Spy franchise. Starring Jason Statham as the main character.
No, excellent.
And Jason Statham with any excuse to punch people in the face is generally quite good.
You tie up Jason Statham with Guy Ritchie, and you are guaranteed a fun movie. Because
Oh yeah,
the last one they did was it's good.
that was Wrath of Men.
Yeah, Wrath of Man. He also did Revolver with him, which was also a really good movie. But it does make you
There's an
think.
old cut.
Oh yeah, no, like I remember. I think I almost broke John Doe one day because I got him to watch Revolver, which is all about the ego and how it's not your friend. And it's a great movie. Definitely watch it because it's really fun and makes you think things that fuck with your head. But I showed him that, and I also showed him a movie called The Man from Earth, which is a very low budget movie because it literally has like one set, which is a house that's slowly being emptied out of furniture. And the entire thing is a philosophy professor is leaving his university and moving on somewhere else, and all his friends come to say goodbye to him. And he's been there 10 years, but he's very young. And the premise of the conversation they have is, I am a immortal Neanderthal, prove me wrong. And they have to ask him questions, and it's meant to be a philosophical debate. But then they start thinking, like, what if does he believe this? And it goes on from there. And it's a very interesting, very slow movie, but very interesting. I showed him both of these back to back, and he was very quiet for a period of time after that.
You're a monster.
I really am. But yeah, no, both good movies. Do not watch them in succession.
But Operation Fortune's fun.
Nice.
It's kind of like a comedy spy action movie. It was generally quite entertaining. I very much enjoyed it.
I do love comedy spy action flicks. They're pretty fun. What else have we?
Actually, one movie that I weirdly seem to have a lot of trouble getting people to watch. The Unbelievable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah. No, I've like the pitch for that is great, but no one ever seems to want to actually watch it.
Well, the problem is people are like, Nick Cage movies aren't any good anymore. And yeah, if you watched, what was it, Ghostland? Yeah, they kind of come across that way. But this one's really fun, and it has Pedro Pascal in it, and he's great.
Yeah. And that meme you're all seeing everywhere, that's where it's from.
Which one's that?
The one we're in the car, and like it's always like, you know, me telling an horribly dark joke.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
the rest of my team. Like, that one, it's like the two of them, with Pascal's just laughing gleefully, and Cage looks terrified and angry. But that meme that you're seeing everywhere, that's where it's from. Go watch the movie, it's fun.
It's really good. It is exactly what you want for the kind of chaotic energy that is, like, peak Nick Cage.
Yeah.
It's not so fucking weird you can't understand it, but it is definitely like, there's a weird energy going on here, let's roll with it.
Yeah.
I actually ended up seeing it in a cinema because some friends of mine wanted to go see it, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll go along. And not disappointed even slightly seeing that movie. That was great.
Nice. Now we can get to the meat and potatoes of this one, and we're going to talk about Avatar: The Way of Water.
Oh, we're going to spoil the shit out of it.
Yeah, this is your warning now. Like, this will be to the end of the podcast, because we're going to rip this to shreds. I'm so sorry.
I'm not.
That's fair. But this movie was just aggressively meh. Like,
I mean,
it's very pretty.
It goes for 3 hours and 12 minutes, and it takes all that time to get fucking nowhere.
Pretty much. It feels like filler. It's strange, but the entire thing, like the start of it, the whole like, all right, it's been a few years, like that's cool and everything. The weird one for me is like they're going through a very fast recap. It's like, oh, we had like the first child, yeah, this is great. Then suddenly he had 4.
Yeah,
because they don't even mention the other ones. Like, oh, suddenly there's 4. Like,
well, the only one they mentioned is the 4th one because that's the one that was adopted.
Oh, yeah.
It was from the miraculous baby conception of Sigourney Weaver's character from the last movie. But no one knows where it came from. It gets brought up at the start of the movie and then forgotten.
Yeah, they bring it up as a joke. Like, who do you think did it? I think it was the nerd guy. It's like, okay, funny, but at the same time, can you maybe explain this? And then they just throw more questions on the fire later in the movie, but we'll get to that at some point. But then there's like the main villain from the first one. Apparently had a son that no one knew about. Or alluded to, or ever mentioned, you know, those kinds of things. Who is now, they named him Spider, and essentially he's the cat of the Jake Sully clan. They allude to him as a pet. That's the weird thing. Like,
they point out that the other avatar,
like the mother treats him like he's not one of them.
What is it? I can't. The Na'vi.
Yeah.
Think of him more like a pet.
Yeah. Also, the first in that little startup speech that Jake Sully has, he kind of forgets how to speak English for a bit. Like, he goes full native, like, for that second, and then just immediately back to normal.
No, they explain it. Yeah. And it's a real throwaway line. Because he points out that, like, it was really hard for him at the start because he didn't quite understand how to speak Na'vi. And then he goes, but eventually it was like speaking English, and that's where it hard cuts to English.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because the idea is now, because he's been there for so long, he understands it, so we're not going to subtitle it anymore.
Yeah.
That's why. It's just a dumb hard cut.
Fair. But then we get the return of humans, because this was always going to happen. There's no way in hell they weren't coming back.
And the whole movie spends its whole time trying to make you think humans are the worst.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to pretend we aren't. We are absolutely the worst.
We are a plague on this world and this universe. But at the same time, it's like, they land hard into that. Like, just the land, they decimate so many, thousands of hectares worth of forest.
It just looks like they nuke it from orbit.
Yeah.
It is like it's in, and like they haven't talked to anyone. They just show up and then just firebomb.
Yeah, that's it. Like, done. We're gonna burn an entire forest now. Also, the main villain from the last movie his memories have been cloned and implanted into a Navi body, so he's now a permanent avatar. He doesn't, go to sleep and then wake up.
And now he's got a shittier reason to be grumpy, because now it's personal. He killed me and he betrayed us. It's so dumb as a motivation, especially for a military character. Because, like, I feel like the chain of command should be going, don't do that. Stop doing your personal revenge crap. We have work for you.
Yeah, you're here as a thing to make sure that we are safe. Do the thing that makes us safe, okay? Bye. But it's just so weirdly contrived. Like, oh, his entire thing is now there's a hit squad to kill Jake Sully. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
And their whole thing seems to be essentially do war crimes.
Yeah, no, literally that. They burn down villages, they shoot people for fun. They are horrible. They are the worst of the worst, put into more powerful bodies.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we're just going to lean into that and make them bad. Neat. We now know who the Nazis are in this situation. Good to know.
And then they're like, we need to make someone worse than that guy, because we want... Shock horror, he doesn't die by the end of this movie, so they've got something planned for him for movie 3.
Oh, yeah.
But we need someone that you can beat in this movie to have that sort of catharsis victory. So we need someone to be worse than this guy.
Yeah.
So what they do is they go, when they finally we'll jump ahead a little bit here, they get to the sea people, and you find out about these super intelligent whales, and they point out in the movie that these whales are smarter than us.
Yeah.
They have language, they have music, they have philosophy. They are super intelligent.
Yeah. They are essentially just so intelligent. They have culture. They have everything. They are a fully sentient species.
So they have these guys, they're whalers. That's what they are. They're whalers. And they're super happy to do it.
Oh, yeah.
They are so happy to kill whales.
Because they're so intelligent, they have a certain cerebral fluid that they're after. And that's all they want. They kill these things just for this fluid, because
they don't want the meat, nothing else.
And the reason being, it stops human aging. Just flat out stops it. You keep going, but you don't age ever again.
The thing is, though, the dude extracts it. And I'm going to be generous here and say he got a liter of fluid.
Yeah.
He says that the entire trip back to Pandora is funded by this stuff.
Yeah.
1 liter is $80,000.
Yeah. So they're going to have to be churning through so many of these whales.
That is like, I understand that it's the future and maybe space travel's cheaper.
Maybe.
But you can't get a ship off Earth for that.
No.
That's nothing. That does not justify the cost.
No, this is space money.
And there's the fact that in the first movie, they were like, space travel's non-doable without unobtainium.
Yeah.
That sounds way more valuable than this fucking shit. But apparently we're now funding the entire Pandora program on it.
Pretty much. And they never mention unobtainium again. That is just given up on. It's all whales now. Going full on the ambrosia. But that, and I did like some of the mechs they had. Like, the little crab scuttlers they built.
That was fun.
Little crabs with hands. It was great. I loved it. But at the same time, Jake does that thing where he has his, like, flying lizard and immediately ditches it for the next ride he can find.
Yeah. But he doesn't even get the good one. His son does.
Yeah. The weird thing is, like, they go to hide out. So they find out about this hit squad. It's like, oh no, we have to run away. We've got the people in danger. Despite the fact he's been training them how to use weapons, tactics. He has them as a guerrilla formation to hit trains, essentially. Like, they spend a year teaching them guerrilla combat against human tech. And it's like, oh, there's a hit squad. They have guns. Better run the fuck away. It's like, no, you don't have to. You could stand and fight quite easily. Hell, you alone took down 6 of these guys when they ambush you.
Yeah.
But instead, it's like, nah, we have to run. There's no choice.
And it's even dumber because, like, at this point, the other humans haven't backed this hit squad up.
No, at all.
It's not like you're like, oh, it's the hit squad, the tip of the spear. The rest of them are behind them. We're fucked. We gotta go.
Yeah.
It's like, no. These guys want to kill us. We gotta go. That's it. We just gotta fucking leave.
That's it. Like, completely.
And of course, I don't understand why he thinks it's gonna work, because he knows that this guy has a personal beef with him and will chase.
Yeah.
So why does he think this is even gonna work?
Yeah, he's like, oh, we'll just go out to sea. And they do. And the sea people, I like the diversity in their characters, because they've evolved to live in the sea. Their tails are thicker and act more as a fin. They can hold their breath a lot longer. That kind of stuff. But he turns up, and the chief, they're all very Maori-based as well. I love the tattoos and everything they use for them. Heavily inspired by them. But he turns up like, you're from the forest. Your skills are useless here. It's like, hold on. He's just turned up in a thing that can fly higher than anything you have here. Completely. And you live in the ocean. A flat plain. You now have the greatest lookout in your culture.
Yeah.
And they never use it to any kind of advantage.
No.
They say, oh no, you have to learn our ways. Like, sure, learn their ways, but you still have a very useful, thing you're not using at all.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
I mean, I really hate the way his son can't understand what bait is.
Oh, he gets baited so... the youngest son... the young son, the second born, whoever he is.
Yeah.
The eldest son, they do have that thing at the start where they're both on patrol. Not patrol, they're on lookout duty. They've taken down a train. They have these guys flying around to make sure no one's coming. It's like, fuck that, let's go down and steal a couple of guns. And the older brother's like, no, we must do our job. Of course, he's convinced to go down by the younger brother. They almost die horribly because they neglected their lookout duties. So, guess who dies horribly at the end of the movie? Foreshadowed the entire way through because he keeps cleaning up his younger brother's mess.
Yeah.
Who does not understand when he's being baited or led astray.
It's so bad, though, because it's like, if it happened once, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. You're trying to set up that he's impulsive, fine.
Yeah.
But he takes the bait every fucking time.
Pretty much. At no point... He has no ability to be self-aware or, aware of his surroundings, I swear. He can't take stock at all. It's just, I'm gonna run headlong. It's like, stop it. Just stop, please.
And I understand that I get the point of the movie is part of his arc is learning that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't learn it by being in a bad situation and realizing this was a bad thing to do and slowly growing. It's just bait.
Yeah. The only time he learns is when consequences are not on him.
Yeah.
When the consequence is the loss of his brother, that's when he actually pays attention. Before that, it's like, nah. He gets abandoned gets lured out by these guys who quite clearly hate him. It's like, come hunting with us. Like, okay. And he does. And they literally ditch him. And he almost gets devoured by a death fish, which was pretty cool. I like that thing.
Yes.
And he's saved by one of the whales that attacks stuff and has been exiled from its herd because it's killed and is responsible for an uprising against humans that failed. And, he makes friends with that thing. But even then, he covers for the guy when he gets back. It's like, oh, I'm just going to cover and maybe he'll like me. Still fucking hates him.
Yeah.
It doesn't treat him
anything.
Does nothing.
It's so dumb. It's not well hung together. His whole plot line is not actually this. Quite honestly, the bad bits of the plot line really come together right at the end.
They do, unfortunately.
One, there's a massive plot hole that I do not understand that happens at the end of the movie. So, they take down the whalers. It's all big and cathartic. It goes on for 30 minutes. It just fucking won't end because this movie's just you're stuck in purgatory now. And there's this bit where this big whaling ship is sinking, And a bunch of them have gotten off of the boat, but Jake's got to go back and fight the big bad guy and all this kind of jazz. And he's telling his family to leave. And the family go into the water. And then the fuel from the boat catches on fire. And they're like, oh no, we can't escape that way. Back onto the boat. It's on the fucking surface, you idiot.
Yeah.
Go under it.
Yeah. You could swim under it so easily.
They literally have one of the water dinosaur things with them.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh no, it's so wide we couldn't hold our breath long enough. One, that's not going to work because you've already established that you can absolutely do that. The dinosaur could get you there.
Yeah.
It's not no,
it has to be a problem because plot. But
it's weak even for plot.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't set up a reason why, like, the fire goes under the water or something. They literally later in the movie show a shot from underneath. And the water, it's only on the surface. Yeah. It's not stopping them leaving.
The weird thing for me was the fact that this bull whale that was thrown out of the pod, he basically got a rebellion going. He got a bunch of other bulls to go...
Okay, no. It didn't work like that. This is a perspective thing, and it doesn't quite work. They explained it in the movie that the whales used to fight.
Yeah.
And that they gave up the ways of violence.
Yeah.
They become peaceful.
Yeah.
And then the Na'vi wanted the whales to fight with them against the whalers. And this guy went with them to do that.
Yeah.
He's the only one who lives.
Yeah.
So the whales consider him responsible.
Yeah. But
he's not. He didn't
not
start the rebellion. He's not like... He didn't get all the other whales killed. But because the whales are peaceful and he chose violence...
Yeah.
They lump every death that happened at that fight on him and call him a killer.
Yeah. But the weirdest thing for me with that, just in general, is the fact that they were like... a bunch of Na'vi, there was a bunch of these whales, and they were versing, from the looks of things, like maybe 3 ships. And they got decimated. Like, he's the only survivor. But then at the end of this movie, there's one ship, and this one whale destroys most of it.
Yeah.
Like...
And with, like, backup from, like, a handful of Na'vi.
Yeah. Clearly someone had turned off the plot armor. That's all it was. And it's just... so strange. It felt a bit rushed at the end. Like, there are some interesting things. It's a very gorgeous movie. Absolutely 100% great to look at. The stuff with Sigourney Weaver's character is very odd, because I thought going in it was going to be reincarnation. Like, she didn't get into the body, but she reincarnated as, like, a born Na'vi. And, like, alright, that would be interesting. No. Because she plugs into the sea people's tree. And apparently, her connection with their god is a lot closer in the sea. So she's the sea avatar, essentially. And she plugs in, and she sees Sigourney Weaver, like her character from the first movie. And they are distinctly separate. And she refers to her as her daughter. It's like, so it's not reincarnation. What is this? What are we leading to? Is this going to be paid off in this movie? No. Maybe next one in 10 years? Who knows?
Yeah.
But, like, visually stunning. Great movie. The story needs a bit of work, but I still enjoyed bits of it.
I completely believe that I've gotten less enjoyment from this movie because I've watched it at home.
Yeah.
I waited for digitals to come out for this. I didn't see it in the cinema.
Yeah.
But I honestly believe that did lessen my opinion of it, because so many of the shots in that movie, like when they first go to the sea people area and they start doing like having people jump into the water and they have all the big like apparently they actually created like pools and stuff to film in, so they could get those shots and be like for realsies instead of it all CG, which helps make them just look so fucking good.
Definitely.
But they'd look better if I'd gone to South Bank, watched it on the IMAX screen, and been like, oh my god, this shit's like a 9-story full screen. This would have been dope.
It would have been
But I
great.
didn't do that.
No, it's like... I think we missed out by not seeing it in cinemas for this kind of movie. And
but I don't think it would have saved this movie. I just probably would have a better opinion of it.
I would definitely have a better opinion of it, but I don't think it would have saved it. There's a lot of plot holes, and they might shore them up in the next movie. I don't know.
The weird bit is, though, like, if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes ratings for this, it's a 76.
That's
like,
the thing.
people like it.
No, they do. Like, I get why they like it. It is a popcorn flick. You can turn your brain off and watch it. But I went into this because the first Avatar, I enjoyed. It was fun. It was.
I genuinely think it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It was an absolute game changer because it had some of the best CG. It was filmed for IMAX and for 3D from the get-go.
Yeah.
No retroactive, we blew it up or we added some shitty 3D effects.
Yeah. It was,
no, they actually planned it that way, so the forest felt like it had depth.
Oh.
It was amazing.
yeah, it was great for that. But then we went into this next one, and because we had that bias of that first one being just a new step in an interesting direction for cinema, this one was kind of just more of the same. There wasn't a lot of what felt like innovation. Yes, they brought in some more of the physical, so they did more prop and that kind of stuff. I liked that. It definitely gave it a bit more weight in certain things, but at the same time, there was no real innovation there.
No.
And the plot, I think a lot of the money went to the special effects and making it look amazing to match the first one. But the story suffered for that.
Absolutely.
But other than that, it is worth a watch. Just don't go in expecting, the be-all, end-all. Like,
No.
the praise it's getting at the moment is not undeserved, but is more than it is currently deserving.
The thing I will also freely admit, and I brought this up on many other movies before, this movie has middle child syndrome.
It does, yes.
It's a movie that has to have its own plot, which is why they needed the Whalers, so you could have something for them to fight, but it's setting up for a third movie. It can't conclude, it can't answer, it has to leave the dangling threads because it's not designed to be its own thing.
Yeah, it's a bridging point, essentially. They're building a bit more of the world, which is nice. I like the world they're building. I'm happy to see more of the world of Pandora. It's fun and interesting. Yeah. And it's going to be like 3 more movies, essentially. Like, it wants a
But, like,
5
we're reviewing a movie and talking about one in the context of what it has.
Yeah.
And what it has, I don't think is great. But maybe once we have that follow-through context, it might hit better.
The payoff for this movie isn't in this movie. It's in future stock.
Yeah. But so many second movies in trilogies have that exact same problem.
They really do.
I'm not going to pretend that this movie is uniquely bad. No. Lots of movies have this problem with their second films.
Like, at least it doesn't feel like a cash-in sequel. That's good.
No.
It does feel a bit more like its own thing, but it is hamstrung in the fact that it has to set up for later iteration. So it's a lot of lore and world building, and generally I enjoy that stuff because I'm a DM. I do a lot of D&D stuff, and I like that kind of thing. But here it just felt a bit clunky.
I think, look, for me, it was just runtime.
Yeah,
like if you'd chopped off maybe in 45 minutes to an hour of this movie, I think I'd have liked it more.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because by the time we get to the third villain introduced, second villain, but it feels like third because Humanity's Return was such a giant dick move.
Oh yeah, that was a blazing middle finger. That was great.
Oh, and the what was it? The army general who was like, "Oh hey, we've captured a child. Let's torture them."
Yeah, that happens.
That was a weird decision. Again, they just seem to want to make you hate humans for whatever fucking reason.
Honestly, yeah, like every decision made by the humans in that is like, what would Hitler do? It's like, guys, can you settle down a bit? Jesus, I know we're coming from a dystopian future, but
I'm pretty sure even Nazis would be like, guys, come down.
Yeah,
switch.
Like calm your farm, guys. Jesus.
But like, it's. I've completely lost the point I was trying to make now. Nope, it's called.
I do that.
I had something.
I'm very good at being distracting.
Fucking squirrels. Point is, it's an okay movie. It's too long. Oh, that was it. It's an entirely too long movie. If you just sliced it off, and you got everything to be a bit more punchy, I think it would have landed better, and I'd be happier with what I watched.
Even just
having
shaving
spent
certain things off would have been fine.
Having watched 3 hours and 12 minutes of this fucking movie,
Yeah.
by the time I got to the end of it, it was just like, fucking finally!
It's a bit like rewatching Forrest Gump, where you get halfway through, oh, it's almost up. Oh, wait, he hasn't started running yet. Ah! Like,
Yeah.
you remember how long it is. Or like the Lord of the Rings extended editions, where it's like, this is going.
I actively want to watch the Lord of the Rings extended edition.
Yes.
I don't think I'd want to back the trilogy of Avatar movies if they're all going to be this long.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
But yeah, ultimately, I think both of us are kind of in a meh, watch it if you feel like it kind of range on that one.
Like, it's not the worst, it's not the greatest. It is definitely fun. I enjoyed most parts of it.
Yeah.
But you do get a bit of a letdown at the end.
I like I said, I think it would be better in a cinema visually. I don't think it would save it. I think you'd actually be quite justified, physicals or digital, watching this movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's going to round us out for this episode. We have cleared an hour.
Yeah, we have rambled on for a fair while.
Woo! Alright, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Enjoy the long weekend.